All right, so today is March 7th, 2018. It's 10:49 a.m., Charleston, South Carolina. Wanted to talk about the Dhatu, Mula, Jeeva placements that your nakshatras can be in. And as I made the video about explaining the kind of qualities and pathologies that we will be set up with based on that, watch that video first if you haven't. Dhatu, Mula, Jeeva, research on 60 charts or something like that. So this is where I'm going to actually give the examples of charts and actually kind of work through it. Got my handy little nakshatra notebook here with my research. All right, so let me share the screen. So you can see here we have a PDF. You can download this PDF. Actually, I can probably leave a link to it on this video if you want. If you Google this Taittiriya Brahmana, these translations, and then over here you'll see the DMJ, Dhatu, Mula, or Jeeva factor of which each nakshatra of the 27 nakshatras are. So it starts with Ashwini, and then Ashwini's Dhatu. Bharani, Yama, the one of Yama is Mula, and then Kritika is Jeeva, and then it just keeps going and repeats that whole way through all 27. All right. And to reiterate, Dhatu is a Sanskrit word that means like mineral or elemental constituent. And so it represents like stone, mineral, rock, the basic element of something. So people with their past life indicator, Ketu, in a Dhatu nakshatra will be more stone-like. They'll be more rock-like. They'll want support. They'll just be really focused on having support. And as long as they have that right support, they feel okay. But when they don't have that right support, be it social support, relationship support, whatever else it is, you have to read the whole chart to see that. But when they don't have that, they lose it. And then they need to focus on the Rahu thing to become happier. And so, you know, there's all kinds of good advice you can give people in life. I've always felt that way. We always think we're doing the right thing. But it's sort of where astrology comes in is like, what is the right advice for this person at this time in their life or in this life and not in their last life or whatever. And that's where this Ketu Rahu technique comes and works out really well. And in my own life, what I've been testing and experimenting and applying, what I've learned here over the last 5 months or so, and it has been really useful to know these things. So then the Mula is plant. Mula means root, so anything that's in the kingdom of living beings that has roots, so plants. Plants' defining characteristic is really being defined by their environment and how sensitive they are. They can only grow in certain environments. So these people are just more sensitive and are very sensitive to the environments that they're in. And they feel that as long as they have this perfect environment, they'll be okay. But until they have that, they aren't okay. And it ends up being more like a fiction in their mind that they never really achieve. And so they have to learn to do the Rahu thing, which will be in one of the other two, either Dhatu or Jeeva. Now the Jeeva one, Jeeva means living being, like animal or human. And the defining quality of the animal kingdom is they are territorial, and they're about finding out who's the leader and who's the follower, and structuring, you know, the order of the hierarchy. So it's really important for people with the Ketu in Jeeva. They're usually really focused on controlling, like dominating or surrendering or submitting, and just knowing which is which. And if they have Ketu there, they may be a little too attached to being dominant or being the submissive one, and they may need to learn to be one of the other things, like more just Dhatu-like just have more of a structure. Don't worry about who's leader, who's follower. Or plant-like, which is more neutral and just sort of grow here and grow there and don't worry about that. But I will get into all this more in detail with these examples. Okay, so let me share my computer screen. Okay. So right off the bat, here's another celebrity. In the last video I shared Luther Burbank. Here's Bruce Lee's chart. Although personally I suspect he was a Scorpio rising. That's my personal belief. And I think that this chart was rectified by a Western astrologer who doesn't use Vargas or didn't know about Vargas, and so they just try to put his rising sign close to the sun, you know, which would make you famous and all that, or which would speak to it. But on a more in-depth level, I think he is Scorpio. But either way, his Ketu is in Revati, a Jeeva Nakshatra, animal. So it's about martial arts, competing. Who's the top person, the alpha, submit or dominate, one or the other. So it's in the house of enemies too, the 6th house if he's a Scorpio. But even if it's Sag, 5th house would still be acceptable. And so then he had Rahu in Hasta Nakshatra, the hen. And that is a Dhatu Nakshatra, a mineral one. So he needed more structure, more of like a routine and a more support mechanism. And that's actually what he started to get more as he went further down his path. He got famous. He started to create his own school of martial arts, his own system, his own structure. And that was really validated by social, it was really socially popular with this 11th house Libra. You know, he had a lot of celebrities who were really into doing martial arts with him, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the famous basketball player, who was originally known as Lual Sindor, which I think is such a cool name. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of his great students. But, you know, Chuck Norris, all these other people, I want to say even Steve McQueen or Marlon Brando, I can't remember though. But anyways, he structured and organized a system of martial arts, but it was actually connected back to the Ketu Jiva, where he kind of like took a lot of different things that he liked and that he utilized, and then he kind of distilled them into like a structured system, basically, which was Jeet Kune Do, as he called it, which was his own martial arts system. And so he created his own support mechanism, and he got a lot of support from social people in doing so. So that was probably, we can see why that was probably important for him, not to just do his own sort of martial art. All right, now for someone you guys don't know, he's just a client I've had and a friend, and he's a good guy. He's a male. He's roughly around my age. No, he's not actually. He's a little bit, yeah, he's almost 10 years older than me. Sorry. So this guy has his Ketu in Purva Bhadrapada. Let's check and see what that is. I know it's a Dhatu, but let's just make sure. Yeah, so, oh wait, no. Yeah, Purva Bhadrapada is Mula. Purva, sorry, no. Yeah, Purva Bhadrapada is Dhatu, Uttara Bhadrapada is Mula. So he has so he has his Ketu and a Dhatu Nakshatra wanting support. And so it's with Venus, which is relationships and marriage and stuff like that. So it's mainly like support of a relationship and stuff that he's really like very attached to, and he wants to do a lot of other things in his life, and he really would be able to with that exalted Sun, strong Mars, exalted Jupiter, exalted Venus. The guy could really do a lot of things with his life. That Venus is in a Mahapurusha Yoga and all this stuff. But he's just in like a really bad relationship that he's not been willing to leave. And he's asked me to, like, you know, about it, getting forecasts, and like every single time I told him to just get out of it, but I've kind of known he wouldn't because of this stuff in his chart, and been like, man, you could just date anyone else. I mean, he's like a yoga teacher, you know, like all these girls like him, and he could just date, he could find anyone else he wanted to that would be more supportive of his dharma. He's all into yoga, all the spirituality. His partner's not. She's just like a random person that like does a teaching random job like at school, and just, he always tells me how she's just like, his vibe, his whole energy just crushes and crumbles when she comes home and all this stuff. But he just keeps going with it because he thinks he needs that support. And Rahu is in Uttara, or he may have left, I don't know, but that's where it was when the last time we spoke. And I tried to help him, and he just wasn't, he sort of understood it, but wasn't willing to make the choice. Uttara Palguni is where Rahu is at. And share you the nakshatra table again. Yeah, Uttara Palguni is a Jeeva. So back to the chart. So his Rahu's in a Jeeva Nakshatra. So he needs to kind of just step up and tell his partner and dominate and be like, look, I don't want to be in this relationship unless it's going to go this way or whatever. I want to have some control over this relationship, or I don't want to be in it. Or he needs to just acknowledge that he's never going to be in another relationship. He's just obsessed with this person. He's just going to submit to it. But he needs to do one or the other and not just kind of keep relying on this support mechanism of a bad relationship, which isn't really helping. And so this is sort of one of those things where it can be tough. You got to like gently be able to coach the person, let them know that their overall path to more fulfillment is going to be more with the nakshatra that Rahu is going to deal with. Doesn't mean that they don't really want that Ketu thing. We all want that thing. But in order to really appreciate that and enjoy it the most, we must develop and balance out our karma by doing the Rahu thing. So he really needs to be more like assertive and kind of step up and sort of like address these situations and either just leave the relationship or not. You know what I mean? But you know, step up and say how he feels and you know, see which way it's going to go. That's probably enough for here. I mean, we could talk a lot more about some of these other placements as well, but that's enough just for that one. Okay, so this is someone who has their Ketu and Swati, which is a Jeeva Nakshatra, animal, and then Rahu and Bharani, which is a plant or Mula Nakshatra. So this guy is Aquarius, ruling planet Saturn's in the 11th. Notice how this Mars is with Ketu in the 10th house. This Mars is in a Mahapurusha Yoga also. This person is kind of the opposite. He's a man who's like super comfortable with his aggressive masculine energy. But he's not like a jock or like someone who like shows it off, or it's more hidden with the Ketu energy. So I actually know this person through like being a skateboarder. He was like one of the most legendary skateboarders in all of South Carolina and the Southeast. And he's really just a maniac on his skateboard. And you can just see it with that Ketu Jeeva in the 10th house with Mars in Scorpio. So like in past lives, this guy might have been a pirate or a Viking or someone who just needed to, like, he made his success by conquering, by war, by like using the willpower of Mars and Scorpio, the sign of battles, you know, in the 10th house of karma and action and doing something about it. So yeah, this guy is real interesting. Like, this is the kind of guy that if I ever wanted him to do a trick skateboarding wise, like filming wise, I would tell him there's no way you can do that, because then I would know that he would say, no, I can totally do that. I'm gonna do that right now. You know what I mean? Because all you had to do was tell him he couldn't do it, because he was one of those guys that just had to have control, had to be able to always be pushing his willpower. We went on skateboard trips to, you know, for week-long skateboard trips, like all over the country. He brought a plastic bag with like a pair of some skate tools in case he broke his skateboard, and like maybe I think a pair of underwear and an extra shirt. That was it, what he brought. This guy's just so Spartan and such a maniac, really. But he's a really sweet guy, a nice guy. He's got Jupiter on the ascendant. He's got Venus with the Atmakaraka, and he's a Cancer Swamsha, and he's really well known in Charleston too. Also, that's because of this interchange between the 1st and the 11th houses. The 11th house is groups and society and social groups and being popular. So when there's that interchange with the 1st and the 11th, he is very, very popular, like without even trying to be, really. It's funny. But he's got to learn to be more sensitive, more emotionally available, more emotionally sensitive. He's got to learn to be more plant-like with this Mula, this Bharani Mula factor. Like I said, plants are like, okay, this is working out for me. Oh, wait, no, this soil's just a little too acidic. I better go over here, and grows its roots over there. Or the plant's like, oh, the sun's over here. I got to go to light here. Oh, now it's over there. Now I'm growing over there. They're kind of all over the place. This guy naturally wants to be more like, no, just hit it harder, just bang it more, just just yell at it more, just use brute force. But he's got to learn that that brute force doesn't solve every problem in life, and it doesn't get you everywhere you need to go in life. And so that is why he needs the plant-like quality of the Rahu and Bharani, and it's also next to the fourth cusp, which just really solidifies it. And so that's again why we need to read the whole chart and look at everything, the house, the cusp, the Lord, all these things. So he's learned to be a lot more like sensitive and emotionally available as his life has gone on. He's even started to like actually care about the food he eats, at least slightly, compared to just being an all-out maniac. Yeah, so that's a pretty fun example. Okay, yeah, so this is a chart of a woman. She has Ketu in Uttara Palguni, the Jeeva Nakshatra, and Rahu in Uttara Bhadrapada, the Dhatu, stone mineral nakshatra. So just real quick, this is a woman that is like incredibly, really smart in my opinion, like really very smart, very intelligent, and just I don't say a lot about a lot of people, and she says things that I'll think about still, like, wow, that is still so smart, or just a random observation, but what's funny is that she's very, very attractive. She's like a mega babe in my opinion, but okay, I mean maybe not to everyone, probably not, but to me she's very attractive because I find mercurial women to be pretty attractive, and women who have skills and things like that. And she's a Gemini, she's ruled by Mercury. Ketu is in the fourth house, but conjunct the fifth cusp. Ketu's in this Jeeva Nakshatra, and it's the Lord of that Mercury is in the 12th, and that Ketu is aspected by Venus. So there's all the sexuality about her. Like in this regard, it's that animal quality of perhaps in past lives, she had to use her sexuality to get where she needed to go in life, to make it, to be successful. And in this life, it might feel like she still has to do that, like bat her eyes a certain way, or flash, a smile, or like move her hips a certain way, or wear certain clothes. And it's almost kind of like, it honestly, in my opinion, it keeps her from being seen for how brilliant she is and how much other qualities that she has that are great, how many other skills she has that are great. But it's like this, that's how Ketu is, like this past life instinctual quality for her. It's this Jiva, animalistic. The fifth cusp is like romance and sexuality and flirting and like affairs. And she's like really naturally easy at creating like sexual tension, when you have a talk with, sometimes you talk to a girl or a member of the opposite sex and there's no sex, like they don't create that easily. And then other women like really just create it, and you turn away and they come and face you there, you know what I mean? And they're just pushing that on you, and you're like kind of uncomfortable if you're someone who has a Rahu and a Jeeva Nakshatra like me. But it's kind of funny how that is. So this person is in college and has, had a lot of different plans for getting different degrees and things. I have some of my blood orange real quick. My throat's kind of dry. So she's really driven to get a degree, okay? Essentially, 11th cusp is degrees. Notice how Rahu's with the 11th cusp in the 10th house of career. It's really important for her to have like this important career and not define herself through this romance, sexuality, sort of love situation, and to define herself through her titles, PhD, professor, blank person, you know what I mean? That's really important for her to define herself through that. And it's because it's in a mineral nakshatra that's about the support of the degree. She feels once she has that support, once she has that title, she will feel better, you know what I mean, and have more self-esteem and self-confidence with that title, the structure of that comes along with it, you know what I mean? And she probably will. Like, I would agree with that. It probably is really important for her. And then also the structure of school. Like, she is really good at learning, but when we would talk and hang out, it was like she kind of couldn't fathom that I was just learning all this stuff on my own. Like, that I was just learning from Ernst Wilhelm and from all these books and learning Sanskrit on my own online and all this crazy stuff and not having any structure or support. It is kind of baffling. I didn't really even think about it. It was just happening for me. And it's funny because, like, a lot of the money I make is from just tutoring people who, for whatever reason, like most people who study with Ernst on his videos, just have their minds so confused because it's just so much stuff, so deep, so much minutia, details, intricacies. Even the beginner classes are like way too in-depth and complicated and confusing for most people. So I gain from that in a way by tutoring people and helping them with that. And you can see that in my chart. Actually, it's kind of funny because I have Ketu and a Dhatu structured thing where I don't, with the rest of the stuff, I don't need like a school or anything to make sure I go and learn. You know, it's just what I've been innately doing in past lives. So it's not a thing. But it's really funny because this person maybe not for them, you know, and maybe they didn't have a lot of schools or educations that they, you know, completed in past lives. So it's just really important for them to do that and to complete that in past lives. And she's very much kind of like a loner for how beautiful and sexy and attractive she is. Definitely the type of girl who could like always have a boyfriend or a man around if she wanted, probably, at least at this age. Maybe not when she gets older, but, you know, I'm just saying that she doesn't. She likes being alone. And that's, again, related to Ketu with the fifth cusp, because the fifth cusp is about like doing your dharma, you know, on your own without needing the validation of others. But then Rahu saying in this life she does need the validation of others, mainly a group, an education, a system. And why is it that? Because it's Pisces and its Lord Jupiter is there with Mercury, and Jupiter and Mercury both deal with education. Jupiter particularly deals with education, and especially if he relates to the 11th cusp. So this person, it is very good for them to kind of like tone down their like flirtatious aura, we might say, at times, unless they're trying to date someone or make the person like them, but just not to always be using that, because she'll be mistaken. Like people won't see the full her. They won't see how brilliant she is and how much she knows about like all these branches of learning, if they only see her, you know, her flirtatious Venusian side. Okay, so hope that helps. Yeah, this is a very interesting example. This is a guy that that I know, a local guy, and he's one thing that when I did a reading for him, I really emphasized how much he needed structure and a routine to his life. And he's one of those people that's like thinks of themselves as a very spiritual person, but their idea of spirituality is like just sort of go with the flow, spontaneous, you know, whatever, everything is okay, I'm okay, you're okay, and that's spirituality. You know, and I don't know, I don't want to be rude here, so I'm trying to be careful, but spirituality, like you look at these monks who meditate for 4 hours a day in caves and you know, or before they even go about their life. If it was that easy to be spiritual and to wake up, why would they be doing that? You know what I mean? There are a lot of people who get into spirituality because they're actually wanting to be an escapist, and they're coming from like an escapism mentality, and they're not willing to get real and to face reality. Spirituality is about not avoiding suffering. It's about going beyond being affected by suffering. It's about being able to suffer or not, and it doesn't matter. And you can still do the thing. You still know the truth, whatever it is. You can still have equanimity. Satyam yoga uchyate, like equanimity is yoga. Yoga is known as equanimity. It is the same thing. So this person came to me to learn meditation and to learn about yoga. And I kept emphasizing that because I could tell before ever looking at his chart, just texting me or emailing me, he would just text me these random times and send me all these crazy emojis of flowers and all this stuff, and just like be like, yeah, let's just like all this emotional high. Like he just was trying to get emotionally high, and that's what he related to as being awake. If we're awake, we're always emotionally high and blissful. That's just not the case. I'm here to tell you guys right now that is not the case. It is not what spirituality is about. Spirituality is about, even if you're in the worst day of your life, you're not affected any more than if you're on the best day of your life. Or there's just, let's just say there's more elements to it than that. And for some people, it's very important to be kind of like, develop that emotional side, but you have to be very careful because for some people, it's a pathology. And so here we see that Ketu is in a plant nakshatra, a Mula nakshatra, of wanting to be, yeah, like, oh, okay, I'll just go, like overly sensitive, like essentially not wanting to discipline yourself, not wanting to do the hard work, wanting to grow around the hard work and avoid it somehow. You see what I'm saying? But spirituality is about hard work. I'm sorry, but it is. It's not like our ego, like, it's not easy to do the right thing. It's scary to do the right thing. It's scary to do what your ego doesn't want to do, you know? And so we have to develop our willpower. We have to have all these other qualities. We can't just be like floating around following our emotions or how we feel, which for a K2 Mula person, it's always changing and they're too sensitive kind of basically. And they're Cancer rising, which reinforces that. But also, so then again, look at Rahu, it's in Rohini, that's a Dhatu nakshatra, and it's right next to the sun, like seriously, the same degree as the sun. The sun is also the most consistent planet, the planet of being regular and staying the course, being consistent. And this guy just does not have that healthy masculine quality, that healthy sun, Surya, like hold your back up straight mentality. And we need that, you know, the world needs that. People need that. We need people in the world to be reliable. We can't just have the world be full of a bunch of people who are just like going to fall over as soon as things get hard. And so that's the thing with the Mula nakshatras, they just can kind of wither away if they don't do the Rahu thing. And if it's Dhatu, it's about steadying themselves, getting discipline, having a structure. If you're going to learn meditation, meditate every day in the same way until you've progressed, until you've actually experienced the results. Then go try a new one. Try it 6 months later, though. Don't try it 1 week later. This is the type of situation where you get someone who's like, I'm going to be a Zen Buddhist this week. And then next week, they're like, oh, no, I'm going to do Reiki. And then the next week, they're like, oh, no, I'm a shaman now, you know, and I'm taking this shaman course. And I just blew $3,000 on that. And then, oh, 2 weeks later, I forgot all about that. No, now I'm doing this weird Egyptian Giza meditation. Oh, next week, oh, now I'm back to another type of Buddhism. It's the best one. This is the one that's going to work. You know, come on, like, what are you doing? So I see a lot of that because there's a lot of that going on, honestly. So this is another example of that. And so one really, you know, if you see that in the charts or people, and it's Rahu's in Dhatu, you need to really emphasize that they need to develop structure. A healthy, and if it's in the 12th house, a healthy spiritual structure. Don't just do drugs, you know, like this person was into drugs and things like that as a way to experience God. And again, like that's not something you can experience on a regular basis. Again, you know, so do something that is about a structure and something that's regular, and you know, you can go into it day in and day out, like the sun. If the sun just decided it didn't want to rise today because it didn't feel like it, the sun's like, oh, I'm in an emotional place right now. I don't really feel good. I don't want to rise today, you guys. That would kill all life on the planet, you know? So anyways, you guys get it. That's enough on that. All right. Hope you enjoyed this video.